You see, we can expend our energy in three ways: in a negative way, in a neutral way, and in a positive way. When we give our energy to things that are negative, we waste that energy and we become drained. When we give our energy to things that are positive, we get more energy. And when we give our things to things that are neutral, energy is neither lost or gained. One simple framework that I like to look at it from is heaven is synonymous with union and hell is synonymous with separation. Separation from and union with the divine life force within you. Now, what is this divine life force? This life force is energy, and energy is the source of creation, the creative power that we all have. Now, God or consciousness is the transcendent state of energy. So there's physical energy, which is matter and the manifestation of existence. And then there is consciousness that is the transcendent state beyond all space and time. And these somehow work closely together. God or consciousness is the source of all joy, all bliss, all love, all peace in our existence. It is what people have called the kingdom of heaven, or Valhalla, or nirvana, or moksha, or liberation, or enlightenment. And so, if you think about it practically, the closer you get to heaven, the better you're going to feel. And the more separated you get from heaven, the more you're going to feel like you're in hell and be suffering. And the road that leads to hell is giving our energy, this life force, this creative power, in directions, in ways that waste it. Because where life is not, death is. Like when a light is turned off in a room, darkness is what remains. So when we are drained of our energy, of our life force, we become depressed. Eventually this leads to suicidal tendencies. The force of death consumes us. And that is the experience of great suffering. And so you will know the kind of balance, the ratio that you have in your life by how much you suffer on a daily basis. How many negative beliefs, negative thoughts, negative ideas, negative actions are you giving your energy to on a daily basis? If you're tipped on the wrong side of the scale, which means you are giving your energy to more negative things than positive, you are on a downward spiral toward death. And eventually this will manifest in either suicide or some disease, some illness, or you might accidentally walk in front of a bus. Simply put, we manifest death in our life because we become a vessel for death. And so it is of great importance that we learn to neutralize all negativity, because in doing so, we get off this hellish timeline. Now, we know energy is the life force and the force of creation. So whatever we give our energy to, that is what we will create more of. When we focus on problems, we get more problems. When we focus on negativity, we get more negativity. So when we understand that our mind is a tool that directs the flow of energy, all we have to do is begin managing our attention, our focus. You see, the more you ruminate on negative thoughts, the more powerful the negative thoughts get. They feed off our energy, and so we get weaker and they get stronger. Which is why a lot of the times we feel like a slave to certain things. Certain things have power over us simply because we've given them our power. And so we have to reverse that dynamic by taking our power back. Because in truth, there is absolutely nothing in this reality that has any power over us whatsoever. No outside force. The only prison that exists is the one in our own mind. Think about an idea of, well, a great example, the presidential election. Now, I don't know about you. I mean, I personally don't feed into this kind of thing, but a lot of people get very serious. They really buy into this story of what they believe about, the state of the country or the state of the world. And they might convince themselves, well, yes, I'm a proud citizen. I should care. If you do not care, then there is something wrong with you. But you see, all of the ideas, all of our interpretations are for the most part made up. I mean, we can see some data and some variables and some facts, and we can come to a conclusion after gathering all these things and say, okay, this is what I have come to, this is what I believe. But also at the same time, if you think about it, if you close your eyes right now, where is that belief? Where are these ideas? Where is the news? Where is all the tragedy happening in the world right now? It doesn't exist because it's happening outside of your awareness, and nothing exists outside of our awareness. Now, does that mean it's not happening? What it means is that it doesn't matter. Because what you are experiencing is not the negativity of the world. It's not the negativity of the story of the presidential election. What you are suffering is your own imagination. And you have power over your own imagination. You at any moment can choose not to pay attention to these things. Because in this moment right now, what is most true is not any story, it's not any ideas, it's not any identity that we think we have. In fact, you could say the highest truth is nothing. But in this nothingness is freedom and is peace. Because around us and in our mind, there's a never-ending stream of changing experiences. There is noise all around us. But in this nothingness that is within, there is silence and there is freedom from all of it. And you see, in this silence, in this emptiness, in this nothingness, is the power of neutrality. Not positive or negative. It is simply an indifference. What you find in a lot of people who have gone through the struggle is that they come to realize eventually that there is no point whatsoever in feeding any kind of garbage, any kind of story, any kind of drama. You get tired of this roller coaster of life, you could say, and you just want some peace. And to get peace, you drop all of the stories. You see, when we believe in something, we give that our energy. Because through our identity, this belief helps reinforce who we believe we are. If I believe that I'm Republican or Democrat, then the whole story is very interesting to me, because I get my sense of identity from that. But if I am indifferent, whatever we are indifferent to, it no longer grabs our attention. Think about it, 99% of all of reality is invisible to us. And why is that? Because it's not relevant. It's either not relevant to our survival and our instincts, or it's not relevant to our identity. And so we don't need to pay it any attention. But you see, in this moment, in this emptiness, in this nothingness, there is no identity. And this is what all of the spiritual masters have done, is that they have cut the karmic cycle off at the root. They have destroyed suffering by destroying the one who suffers. Not by physical death, but simply by recognition. The recognition that it was never true. So you don't need to destroy your ego or destroy your identity. You just realize the illusion of it. And naturally, you take your identity away from that. This consciousness, this awareness that we are, is non-dual, is neutral. It is the fire of God that dissolves all things. And so when you have a negative thought, or you find yourself having a negative belief, it can be tricky because we have conditioned ourselves to feed these things. But in fact, you have the power to simply observe. With this light of your awareness, you dissolve the belief. You dissolve the negativity. It goes something like this. When we have our identity attached to the mind, then all of our thoughts, all of our beliefs, all of our identities, and all of the experiences of the world become relevant to us. Because we are an individual living in this universe, trying to figure things out and survive. But the moment you detach your identity from the mind and recognize yourself as consciousness, as awareness, then all of these things no longer become that relevant. Why is this? Because consciousness exists in the transcendent state. It is beyond all experiences. It cannot be harmed. It cannot die. It cannot be changed. It can only flow. So right here, right now, you in truth are already free from all of your negative experiences, all of your negative thoughts, all of your suffering. But so long as your identity is attached to your mind, you are a slave to the matrix. You are a slave to your mind. You are a slave to suffering. This consciousness, this awareness is the unchanging. It is the rock in which we have to build the foundation of our life upon. Because when the changing storms come and try to blow us away, we will be deeply rooted in that which is unbreakable, which is unchanging, that which is ever present, always will be and always was. Once you tap into this power, by letting go of your identity with the changing world, you can begin dissolving all negative thoughts, all negative beliefs, and you can even be free from all negative experiences. And it's not that problems don't arise. It's not that difficult situations don't come up. It's just that you are free from them. And so they don't have the same meaning. They don't have the same definition as when you were so heavily attached to the mind. Because the mind always takes everything so personal. Everything is so relevant. If the mind isn't getting what it wants, then it's upset. Then it's frustrated. It's angry. But you see, the futility of the mind is that the entire world, the entire universe, all of existence is changing. Which means that the mind can never have any satisfaction. It will always need more. Because the moment it finds what it wants, just as quickly the thing goes away. And so the mind suffers when it doesn't have what it wants. It suffers when it gets what it wants, because what it wants doesn't last. And then it suffers when what it wants goes away. The mind does nothing but suffer. But in the recognition of your true self, there is no suffering. And you neutralize all negative experiences. That is why they say something like, for the one who is awakened or enlightened, their karma is drastically reduced. I'll give you an example. Let's say years ago, if I engaged in a certain behavior, I could see very clearly how that behavior would create consequences in my life. And sometimes the consequences would be extreme. And now I can see that same behavior, still being aware of my reality, how my actions are creating everything. And I can see how much the consequences have decreased. Same action. But the reason is because there is no added psychological nonsense on top of it. You see, a negative thought doesn't mean anything. But when we give it meaning and ruminate upon it, now this negative thought is a problem. If we make a mistake, it's not that big of a deal. But the moment we get in our minds about it, with the shame and the guilt and the fear, now we are siphoning, now we are hemorrhaging energy into the negative. And that is what destroys us. Just remember, the power of your awareness, of your observation, is the power to neutralize all things. Because you as awareness exist before all thoughts, before all beliefs, before all experiences. And so if you can remain here, then these things have no power over you. But if you stay here, Now you're in a world of trouble. If you stay in the mind, then everything has an effect over you. So freedom is not something that you achieve. It's not something that you gain. It is simply a recognition of what you already are.